Cool. Alright, I'll get started. Alright, so I titled this video Lost in the Light and current energetic updates. Probably. I was like, it's about that time. Current planetary updates for 2021. So as, the energy started to shift 12/21, the solstice. So after that, and I'm going to go live again right after this. Probably take a half an hour to charge my phone really quick. I was like, you know what? I know there was a couple people that missed out on the higher self channeling we did the other day. It was so much fun. I even put a clip up on YouTube just to show people what we do over here. So yeah. So I'm gonna start first with a post that I did on Facebook where I said all light is lostness, and a lot of people were like, well, there was a couple people got it and a couple people didn't get it, and I'm gonna explain to you why all light literally what I have on right now. And I enjoy the light, I enjoy using different energetic techniques using specific kinds of light, but I'm seeing that a lot of these... Okay, so let me start from the beginning, how this idea started coming about. First of all, if you ever listened or ever really studied Bobby Hemmett and read... Hey, what's up, Genocide? If you ever studied Bobby Hemmett and read some of the books that he suggested... I hear you. You'll find out that he talked, and it's funny too because I saw the movie Soul. So when I saw the movie Soul, I'm, watching this movie, but in the movie, the guy is going towards the light, and he's like, no. And I'm like, why are they... There's all this dark space around this big, beautiful light, and they made it so beautiful, so appealing. And he's like, no, and he goes into the darkness to the before time. But they act like that's the only place, all that space, and the only place you can go is to the before time. So there was a lot of spiritual restrictions. There was a lot of truth that took place in that movie, but it's mixing the truth with the lies, and it's limiting your imagination and creativity. So I saw that, and I was like, interesting. So they're putting the truth right there, but they're distorting it. Because, as a soul, you don't want to go back to the light. But it also doesn't mean you want to come back to Earth. You might want to have a different experience after you... That's not your only choices. You know what I mean? You don't have a choice to go towards this big light and just back to Earth. This is a multi-dimensional universe. You can go so many places. You can experience and explore so many realms. So, in a way, it kind of locks down your imagination and your consciousness, and puts you in a construct to sort of make you believe that these are your only choices when you have so many choices. And that's our society. The society that we live in currently gives you the illusion of choice while only giving you 2 or 3 options. And like, okay, yeah, these are your choices. Like, no, those are not my only choices. I can do something totally different if I want to, as long as I'm creative. So then I was listening to this video, and this channeler, she's typically a really clear channel, and I learn certain things, or she'll have certain puzzle pieces that I'll be like, that makes a lot of sense, or oh, this makes a lot of sense. But she's having a conversation, and a lot of the stuff is just super on point, and I'm like, oh man, this is great. This is a great interview. You damn right, I don't want to come back here. Shit, tired of coming back here. Yeah, you don't have to. That's the thing. It's a lie. It's just a lie. It's just a lie that you don't have to. You can do what you want when you're sovereign. So I'm not going to mention who the YouTuber is. I do enjoy her content from time to time, but I also tell people to use discernment, So everything they're talking about, super on point, frequency, vibration, how this, that, and I'm like, yes, yes, yes. Then there was this one part, and these two are like, oh yeah, I had the same vision. And I'm like, okay. And they had this vision of, now that we're having the world split, and the world is always multidimensional. There's always many different facets and aspects and things going on that you may not know about, but if you can tap into that consciousness on an organic level, you can experience anything you want even here. And that's something that many of us are not told about. The media works and social media even works very hard to control your consciousness, to keep you in a certain construct. But if you can think outside the box, right? Because boxes don't even really exist. It's just, they don't really exist. It's an inorganic construct. Anything with this phone, even this phone doesn't have straight lines. It's just an inorganic construct. So basically, if you can think outside the box, you can create whatever reality you want. And that's how powerful you are. Truly. So I'm listening, and they're like, yeah, they both had this vision, right? And they're really into this galactic federation and all. I'm not sold on it. You know what I mean? I'm just kind of like, okay, interesting. So I'm not, hey, what's up, Aisha? So I'm not sold on it. All right. All right, genocide. I'm listening, and they're talking about having this vision of one day all the darkness in the world being swept away by the sun. And she's like, yeah, it was like this dark plasma. And that's where my ears perked up, right? I was like, dark plasma is not archonic. That's literally the yin, the feminine energy that makes creation in this realm possible. So I'm looking like, hold up, you think that she's like, yeah, it was like nanotech. It would be more like almost like a dust, actually. So it could form into a plasma, but that's what in a lot of these movies. See, and this is showing you how some people who are even supposed to be spiritual, when they're unbalanced, because they're too much into this love and light stuff. Love and light is false light. So they're too much into this love and light stuff, and they're not creating a sense of balance. So what ends up happening is that they're so into that, having empathy and having compassion. And sometimes in your life you want to have empathy and compassion, but you can tell when you're being manipulated, and you're going to be like, listen, motherfucker, I got to tell you how it is. I'm not having it. So peace, God. So basically they're talking about having, and they're like, yeah, I've had the same vision. Reminds me of the story of Daniel from the Bible. If I'm not mistaken, it was Daniel, and he was a prophet. And remember, in the Bible, there was a false spirit. I'm hot, sorry. And they're in the Bible, and see, there were stories in the Bible that if you could read between the lines, you would literally learn some shit. And there was a false spirit that God had sent down, right? Your archonic God. There was a false spirit that went and deceived all the seers and prophets at the same time. And this is something that actually happened over the summer as well with a lot of tarot readers. If you noticed, I had a period of time where I really wasn't reading tarot too much, and it was just my spirit was just into other things. I was doing a lot of decoding at that time. Yeah, sometimes you gotta explode, learning about both sides of the information. And yep, working on that one. Awesome. So there was a time in the summer, and then that brought up that story. Spirit will lead me wherever I need to be led, so that I can get certain principles and truths. And I was like, interesting. So now we see how it's coming back around, and how these false light beings will implant visions into certain seers who are so lost in the light that they don't have the ability, because they're ungrounded, so they don't have the ability to truly discern. And they have, and I'm not saying to ever throw the baby out with the bathwater. You can learn from everyone. You can learn from your worst enemy, literally. You can learn from anybody. So don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, as you know, the old term says. Basically, take it for what it is and learn what you came to learn, and then use your own personal discernment. Even with me, with anything. I like when you guys are like, yo, I'm not sure about that, Isabel, because it makes me have to go back and question even what I'm thinking and what I'm feeling, and I'll be like, okay, da 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 da. So if I resonate a certain way, that's why I appreciate honesty. Even when honesty can be brutal, I appreciate honesty more than I appreciate someone who's sitting there just being a yes man or lying to me. Like, don't lie to me. Tell me the truth, you know? Tell me your truth, because then we can reach some sort of middle point where it makes sense for the both of us. And this is how we all grow together, by standing in our own personal truths. So they saying that they had this vision that the sun comes in and all the darkness in the world is taken out. And the thing that made, I was like, okay, that's okay. And that all this plasma had left the earth and this and that. And I know that the true part, connecting the dots, exactly. I know that the true part of that is that what actually is happening is that archonic structure will be destroyed, and it's already getting destroyed, but it has to be us almost ignoring it. Oh, that's so crazy. So it has to be us creating this new structure and this new dynamic way of experiencing reality with discernment, and then with less judgment. We're gonna want to do less judgment, especially on the self. Now, it's been chaos these last couple days, but like the best kind, the fun kind, you know. So when I get into our planetary updates, I'm going to update you guys on some stuff I've been experiencing. I think it'll resonate with some of what you've all been experiencing, since we're now into this new shift. We're going to talk about that in a second, the fun stuff. So, oh, I didn't write notes on this. I wrote notes on some of the stuff that's okay. So basically what's going on is that these people have been deceived. And there's a certain level of consciousness that is creating a false light deception. So the false light deception is that there is only light. And I'm like, where do you think the light comes from? Where do you think light comes from? And light is meant to be more used as a tool or a vehicle to experience the reality, because the reality is created with light. Everything, this lamp, this coffee cup, this awesome Egyptian bracelet, and I got this from an actual Egyptian, and they import all their stuff from there. So yeah, I love this. It wasn't even expensive either, but I love wearing my gods because they protect me, like when I'm out and about. Love them. So, and that's real copper too. So basically what ends up happening is that we have people who are, thank you, we have people who are afraid of their true primordial nature. Okay? Aren't you a Titan? Can't you go to the clip-off if you want to? Can't you go to the underworld if you want to? Can't you go and experience anything? And I think the underworld, the positive aspects, the power that comes from the underworld is grossly misunderstood. I'll say that. The power that is in your root. And when you can get past the negative aspects of that and the stuff that really is limiting you, you can find an ultimate truth and freedom in the underworld. You know what I mean? You can find the first true light, to be frank, was darkness. They might be blinded, heavily talked about as, yes, exactly. So there's a spirit of deception that's coming on. So of course I'm obsessed with just authenticity and just trying to be as accurate as possible, even within myself. And if that means that a construct of my reality has to change, I'm willing to change to just evolve. You know what I mean? Like, if we really sit here and keep playing ourselves and keep acquiescing to these falsehoods, then we never change, and nothing in the reality or construct ever changes. So we have to be willing to change with where the energy is going. And we're going to talk about too in a little bit how we're perceiving truth and how perception is changed in these new times. But yeah, so these people are getting so obsessed with this light that they're forgetting, and they're almost afraid of their own darkness and the true underworld. I was walking around last night. I was in the quarter, and I ended up hanging out with a really good friend of mine that I met out here. Awesome guy. And we had a great time. We were just being like random, but before that, I'm walking and my eyes started burning, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like I did another darkness meditation. I brought in more of my higher self into, because what I'll do is I'll bring the higher self from 9D, that pure, pristine, beautiful darkness. I'll bring it into my cells and I'll hold it and I'll absorb that energy. And it's your own energy. Every soul, I always say every soul is born in 9D. So that's your own energy. That is the mother. The mother is so big and so expansive and completely formless. She is like this black plasma, which is why I was like, I've literally been experiencing, and I've been to the void, the one that the archons were trapped in. They talk about that in the Bible too, but they just construed it, like misconstrued it a little bit. But if you can cut through the lies, you can find the truth, because the truth always has to be there somewhere. Even with their little laws, that they always have to tell you the truth in some aspect. So if you can decode and discern, you can always find the truth. The truth is the truth is the truth. It doesn't go away and it doesn't change. It just is what it is. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, no, all light is lostness. All light is false light. All light is false light. All light is false light. Now let me explain to you what light is and how it can be used. Because when you are aware that your primordial nature is all light as one, and even the progenitor of light, every fractal, every light that goes out is a fragment of a expansive, endless consciousness. Or more than consciousness, because that's going to be a big lie this year too, where people are going to think consciousness is the soul. So no, the soul is the soul. It's formless. It doesn't have a name. It doesn't have a shape. It's your soul is no thing. So basically, what it is that in the darkness, all light is contained. Every perspective you could ever have, everything that ever happened, everything that, it's pure like potential energy, and you can always pull from that pristine. I call it pristine darkness because that's what it is. It's who you truly are. Is primordial. Primordial meaning first, right? So you can, and then we have this great thing now where we can go to the root and get the antimatter, the power from 0D. Because everything operates kind of like a circle. So 0D and 9D are truly like the same. And you can get the power from 0D, the wisdom from 9D, and you can combine them and really become a very sovereign, powerful individual. And if you want to learn how to do that, I do have some PDFs on meditations and stuff you can do, sort of bring that energy together. And you guys hit me up if you want a little course or whatever. I do have the second merging with the higher self, the second day. I've had it half done, but I wanted it. I think I needed this extra information so that I could really, because I'm explaining what the higher self is in the second one. In the first one, I teach you how to like tap into your higher self, and in the second one, I'm explaining the nature of the higher self. So I think I really needed to get this so that I could get that and have it be just as clear as possible for you all. So, okay. Oh, so even the yin yang symbol, which is one of my favorites, because when you're in creation, when you can recognize the dark aspect and the light aspect, so all energy is feminine at the end of the day, right? Even the masculine is, I always call the masculine active feminine. You have inactive or potential feminine, and then where all that energy is contained, but you have to activate that energy so that you can express yourself in the world. Otherwise, you'll have no energy. You know, you won't be here. You'll be back home in 9D. So, and then higher dimensions and stuff, because basically everything is structured 0 through 9. And then every other dimension, what I realized, like these higher dimensions they go to, because you can go as high as you want. It's endless. They're really like sub-dimensions. So that's another story. We'll talk about that another time. But just so you know, like anytime people talk about 10D, 10D is beautiful because it's 1 and 0 together. So that's like a cool experience. So all these other higher dimensions are really sub-dimensions and different ways of mixing 0 through 9D and having these different experiences, which is like, I just love it. I think it's dope. Okay. Oh, the yin yang symbol. I'm gonna get back to that. So the yin yang symbol, I was like, even this, and then I was thinking like, yeah, you do have to walk the middle path, because the middle path is where you're mostly grounded, and the middle path is where you're going to find balance in the world. But there's no, if all light is lostness. And this fucking blew my mind. I was literally in the shower and I had this realization and I was like, what the fuck? Like freaking out. Like I was like, holy shit. So any information you receive in a certain context, it will be true. And when it's taken out of context and used in a different way or applied in a different way, it can be false. That's a form of manipulation and deception. Oh, my little that people do. So a deeper secret is really, you just want to be all yin. You want to understand, you want to express yourself with the light and different angles of light and communication and stuff. Because the light is just expression. It's an angle of expression. It's an angle of it's like expressing different ideas would be different forms of light. If you look at all the angels, they have different properties, so they're different angles of light. So you're getting different forms of light, but the light is just different expressions of the darkness. That's all it is. It's simple. It's not really complicated. So when you go into the yin, that's kind of where you want to be within self, so that you have the ability to not only understand all forms of light, but you want to know how to actually use that light, and in what situation you're in, or with certain people you're dealing with, or even certain life situations, or even certain spiritual practices and stuff. When you have access to everything, then you can experience anything that you desire. So, and you can learn how to use different light to put that intent. Really, the intent is what's going to create the light. You have to have an intent for something first. So that intent will create the light. Then you can take that light and you can do, you know, what you want to do with it. To experience a reality that's going to give you whatever it is. It might be a certain lesson you want to learn. You might want to understand something deeper. It might be part of your own like personal mission. So light is supposed to be used as a tool. It's not supposed to be taught as who you are. So when these people are teaching light as who you are, they are being misled by higher beings, and they think that 5D and stuff still doesn't have issues. They think the higher realms still doesn't have manipulation that's occurring, and they'll talk about how, oh, manipulation isn't supposed to occur. Sometimes it's not archons, it's literally just souls with different perspectives. So you might have a group of souls. Well, 9D is sort of all together as one. There's not even speech or nothing there. It's just a feeling. But you might have 7D or 5D. 5D is like really a nice place for for experiencing divine love and a unity consciousness. But this unity consciousness thing kind of seems like a psyop to me in a certain way, because it's creating a hive mind. And I kind of been peeping that too, that these false light people, they get into this weird and I'm not judging, I'm just observing. And if that's the experience that soul needs to have, like, I'm not going to judge that soul for having that experience. I'm just, from my perspective, basically speaking on these concepts and ideas. So, oh, we're all going to be one, and it's going to be this utopia, and it's going to be so amazing, and all evil will be gone. When I look at that, I'm kind of like, that is a hive mind consciousness. What would make more sense is understanding that each individual is sovereign, and they'll talk about sovereignty too, but then when they get into this unity, consciousness, utopia thing, it just goes all the way like left, or I guess we could say right. And I'm just like, this doesn't make any sense to me, because left is a feminine. Somebody pointed something out to me. Old leather jackets and old jackets, they always put the buttons or the zipper on the left side for the woman and the right side for the man. So that's how you know the difference between what jacket is which. That's kind of like an interesting little thing I noticed the other day. An old timer told me that, and I was like, that's fucking interesting. So that's creating another false hive mind, instead of being like, well, this is my individual experience and this is what I would like to experience without infringing on anybody else's free will. And what you want to experience is okay too. So, and it's just respecting each other as sovereign individuals and knowing that each other has a right to experience what they would like to experience. That makes more sense to me, because it gives you perpetual followers. Yes, instead of leaders. Exactly. The hive mind creates perpetual followers. That's a really, really good point, Joe. Instead of everyone being their own leader and their own master. And we're going into a time of masters. So that's what I'm saying. Like, some stuff they'll talk about, but then I don't know where it came in at. But I'm like, I think that it's people who have been through so much in life and maybe are so empathic that they find the world is very hard for them, that then they create this reality where they're like, we can get to this utopia and we can all be happy and stuff. But like even down to the basic sexual nature of people is so polluted, and you'll view certain sex acts as wrong when they're not. And obviously pedophile and all this weird shit is wrong. But I mean, like, just basic, if somebody wants to have a threesome, or if and most people that even would want to have a threesome or something can't, because the partners that they're dealing with are on such a low consciousness when it comes to sex, and have so much manipulation that they don't know how to see themselves as divine. Thank you, Black Diamond Tara. I appreciate you, sis. Thank you, Yasmin, for being here. I see you. So they can't see themselves as divine, so they don't know how to treat the other person as sacred and divine, and they don't know how to treat the act of sex as divine. Here's my time to shine, LOL. Literally. So, and then we have a lot of concepts around love and around relationships and stuff where we don't love ourselves, so we try and change the people that we love to acquiesce to what we think they should be, instead of just, if we can love ourselves unconditionally, then we can love the other person unconditionally too. And there's some everybody, like, there's embarrassing parts to me, there's embarrassing parts to you, there's stuff we've done that we're not proud of and stuff, but it's literally taking all that stuff and being able to, like, forgive yourself, and then realizing that, like, okay, I was kind of fucked up here. I need, like, for me, and we're gonna get into this too, I guess I'll move on to some planetary updates for 2021, because that's kind of where the conversation is leading anyway. So this is some stuff that I've been experiencing, and there's going to be a lot of, okay, so I'm going to start, well, I had a really cool vision the other day in meditation, so I'll start with that. And in the vision, I was in the underworld, and it was like I'm sitting across a table from Santa Muerte, and she had like the whole face done with the white and black makeup, with the flowers in her hair and everything. And I'm going like this, and she's copying everything I'm doing, but then she just like sticks her tongue out like this, like that, like just sticks her tongue out at me, and I'm like, what's happening? And she's like, come here. So she grabs my hand, and I'm walking with her through the underworld, and she walks up to this throne and sits on the throne. And I look around, and I'm like, all these portals to the underworld are open that are not supposed to be open. What can we do about it? She just smacks her staff on the ground, and she goes, they're closed. And they all closed at the same time. And I was like, oh shit. So then she goes, let me show you who else I am. So she's like this underworld like person, like so fucking gangster. I was like, oh my god, she's so cool. And she had like this long black like robe thing on that was like so beautiful, and like these little shorts, and like this fly fucking outfit. I was like, damn, I want to make that. I want to wear that shit. What the fuck? And it was all like red and black, and I'm in the underworld with her. And then, you know, so I think this was how my own soul, because realize too, these gods and goddesses that you're having visions about and you're interacting with, you're literally, I've been communicating with this deity. No, you're just learning something from them right now, because they're another aspect of you. And it's like so fucking cool how we can all learn from our own selves, and like how that consciousness will come forward to teach you a lesson in this reality so that you can get it. So hey Shay, I just saw you that you hit me, and I was like, I don't think she realized I was live yet. So then she takes my hand and she goes, let me show you who else I am. And we're flying up, like we're flying up so fast, and there's all this light and all this gold. And then she looks down at me, like I'm holding her hand, she's flying. She looks down at me, and her whole face, she got this big smile, and her whole face is just so gold and like so beautiful. And I'm like, oh, this makes so much sense. It's not choosing the underworld or the higher realms. It's realizing that we're everything. Yep, you're gonna be learning some stuff, Joe, if you're working with Shiva. That's my guy right there. And it was just, and it's funny too, because I'm wearing this shirt, right? 50% gang, 50% goddess. Goddess gang. Oh yeah, cosmic gang, whole lot of strange shit. Ninth dimensional. Oh, what? Holy shit, I fucked up our intro. Hold up. Cosmic gang, whole lot of gang shit. Ninth dimensional strange shit. We are in the motherfucking building, and it's been a while since I said that, right? But she's like, let me show you who else I am. And I was just like, oh, I get it. And then as I came out of that vision, first of all, I totally recognized it as, like, I got so excited because I was like, oh my gosh, this is all me. I've been interacting with, I'm seeing so many spirits right now that are just like listening. Can you go away? Thank you. Just back up a little bit. I'm realizing that, like, this is all me. And I was like, holy shit, like we don't realize that these gods and stuff that we're talking to and having all these conversations to, they're our own self. And it was just like this profound realization, and I was like, this is so amazing and so beautiful. And it's like, yo, we are so fucking dope, and we don't realize it. And we're always told that we're not. You're so fucking cool, like you're so fucking dope. And it's like, bro, you don't understand how dope you are, man, and how you have all these characteristics and attributes already within yourself. You just got to tap into them. It's expanding the mind and not judging yourself, and then you can expand and then not judge others. Okay, so some of the planetary updates for 2021 from these first couple days, what I've been experiencing. I know, Shay. I just literally was like looking, and I'm like, this is too much for me right now. Can y'all back up a little bit? They were so close. They were like kept walking, and then I see a couple like just standing here, like watching me. I hate when I'm like this because I can see all of them, and it's just too much sometimes. Okay, so the first thing, obviously, right? You can unlock all your spiritual gifts. You absolutely can. believe in yourself, because you have it already within you. It's just communicating, learning how to communicate with yourselves and yourself. Free yourselves. So leaving the old self behind is going, obviously, I think everybody feels that the world is just different. And anyone who's an empath, we can't quite give it a term or give it a word or anything like that. We can just feel it, and it's like everything is different. Everything, the way that I'm expressing myself is different. The way that I'm understanding reality is different. Definitely an expansion that we've experiencing, but it's just this everything is so different that it can create a lot of chaos. And even for me, that's why I said I've been dealing with a lot of chaos within myself, because it's just like, oh, I can do whatever I want. Okay, I'm going to do this over here. I'm going to do this over here. I'm like, oh shit, I got to ground. Okay, I got to bring it down, right? Ground. And so the chaos that brings, and understanding this new reality, leads to a lot of confusion. And it's going to bring up, there's going to be a lot of fucking confusion this next year. Like a lot of people trying to get a handle on this new energy. Even people who are unaware, unconscious, not realizing it, that they're just trying to get a handle on how to operate in this new world. And people who think that we're going back to Atlantis, we're not. We're actually evolving past that, if it makes sense. We're going to be, there's no going back. This is literally something completely different that your soul has chosen to experience at this time. This is like uncharted territory, you know. So you're gonna have to, it's almost like, okay, how do I operate? And a lot of us that are spiritual, they've been meditating, they can pick up on energy. You've been practicing for years now, even when you don't realize it. Like even as spiritual as you were as a kid and stuff, and all the spirits and stuff you could see, you've been practicing this for years. So the battle is going to be in the 4D now. Well, we were already in 4D. We're going into 5D, some different version of 5D. Yes, people are going to get very depressed because they're going to be lost in thought/light, right? Different angles of light. And that's going to be a big thing. Another thing, and I got to give Dolo, the pilot man, some credit, because he was so right that people are going to start thinking, and this has already been happening. As the patriarchal shit is kind of breaking down and it's becoming more unity. So it's not just patriarchal, matriarchal. It's actually like realizing that I am no thing. I got to give him credit though, because he was talking about how people were going to start experiencing, they were going to start trying to say that the soul is consciousness, which is like the dumbest shit ever. I was like, the soul is conscious. Consciousness is an expression of the soul, but it's not the soul. The soul is so much more than even that. It's like he always says, and I've been hearing this way before I even knew about him. It's no thing. It's not tangible. Oh, I got a poem for you guys too, by the way. Yeah, Dolo, he was on point, and I'm already starting to see it with these love and light people, that they're really already starting with the soul is consciousness. No, you just are understanding you're understanding spiritual science is just fucked up. Like you're only experiencing it in a scientific way, so you're not experiencing it in the creative aspect too, and you need both for balance. Okay, so experiencing truth differently. This is a big one, and it's like actually experiencing truth, not just having a concept about it. Oh yeah, I wanted to finish on one point first. So 4D, so the battle is going to be in the thought realm, and it's already been heading that direction. So just make sure you guard your crown chakra, because if you guard your crown chakra and you can use your heart chakra for discernment, you won't be there's going to be a lot of false thoughts coming in. It's just going to be nonstop. And then people are going to look at these false lights or false thoughts as enlightenment. And we should start a new term like endarkenment. Like, fuck you guys. Fuck you. Type shit. But people are going to be really like, it's just, and it's going to be nonstop. So just get used to it now. It's going to be all this fucking confusion. And also people are learning how to like ground themselves in a new reality. So experiencing truth differently. I said not by calling others out, but by seeing where we have untruth within ourselves. So there's going to be this deepening of inner truth. And it's like going to be really, really hard for people who are like really inauthentic or like fake. It's going to be really, really hard because the frequency is lighter, and it's almost like pushing or pulling all that stuff that you've been avoiding to the surface. So it's going to be, so if you won't admit it, it'll come out in how you speak and in your actions. So, and then other people will just see it, and they might not even comment on it. They'll just see it and be like, oh, okay, that's kind of whack, whatever. So wherever we have untruth within ourselves, like even when you don't understand something, just say you don't understand, so then that way you can start learning. Or if you're not certain, or you're like, I don't really know where I stand on this topic yet, just be honest about it. Like I had to tell somebody recently, I had to be like, listen, I'm not really sure about what my concept on relationships is and how I'm relating to people, you know, in a romantic way. I kind of need some time to figure that out. Just be honest. You need time to figure it out. You know what I mean? And that's okay. And it's fine. So it's going to be this deep, but it's like, it's so visceral. It's so just right there in your face. And it's like shit that you didn't realize about yourself is going to start coming to the surface. When I also did my darkness meditation and I pulled in my soul's energy, because I'm working on merging with my higher self. So completely, I want to completely merge. I don't know, I might get like 80% of the way there. I don't know, we'll figure out how far I want to go with it, but I'm just going because this is my path. So as I was doing that, I felt all these memories, and hi Janet, I felt all these memories in my cells being pushed out, like, and I saw all these childhood memories, and it was like all these old memories of the personality and the person who I think I am. Not who I truly am, who I think I am, the construct that the personality that you so carefully craft even as a child. I just felt all that being pushed out. So a lot of that stuff will probably come up for people to purge. Another thing is battling perspectives. So obviously, because we have that confusion and people being lost in light or thought, people are going to start having battling perspectives. And what you're battling for is, there's an endless amount of authenticity. Even it's like a deepening of it, though. It's like you can't run away from yourself anymore. You can't lie, you can't hide. It's not going to feel good. It'll literally make you sick. So battling perspectives, like everybody is going to be sort of like fighting. The ego battles, the fighting, the human shit, just don't even just be like, oh, okay, I see what it is. That's just part of what the energy is right now. Because there's different, with the light thing, being lost in the light, there's different levels of light or enlightenment. So some people will be on a political level, and then at some point in their life, they'll maybe get a little spiritual, but maybe they still deal with like false gods and false constructs of God, and then maybe they'll realize, oh, I'm God, and then maybe they'll get to another level. Yeah, with the corona shit, it started for everybody. It's just going to be more of that, and then you realize, boom, I'm pure darkness. I am no thing. I'm pure darkness. I'm the generator of light. I'm the inception, right? So I'm primordial prime. I'm first, and we will all start to awaken to that being what your soul is. Those of you who want to, but it's like different levels. You know what I mean? So then people on certain levels are going to be fighting. Anybody who's on a lower don't engage, because that's stuff that will just drag your frequency down. Observe, don't engage. Oh yeah, and then I talked about how gods and goddesses, visions, etc. are all constructed from the self, because you're fucking dope. And then I said, okay, so this was something that was happening personally for me. So as I had that meditation where I pushed all these memories out of my cells, all these constructs of who I thought I was, all the ways that I tried to like make myself relatable to certain people, and especially when it came, the biggest struggle for me was like, I knew that I wasn't like a normal person when it came to like relationships and shit, and I knew I didn't want to be with one person, but I kept trying and failing. That petty in me won't die. Well, you know what? You do what you have to do, Aisha. That might be just your little underworld side coming out. But you know how to like separate yourself from it. Certain people might not have the ability to not make it, like, you will be petty and not make it personal. If you don't have that ability, you probably don't want to be doing that. So a personal experience I've been going through is I'm realizing that these last couple days, before I was conditioned in societal structures to want one person or to try and fit this mold of this like not a good girl mold, because that's never been me, but it was like try to fit this certain mold where I can get like one person and be happy and get married and all this weird shit. I tried to fit that mold. I really did. I wanted that approval from another person. I wanted to be loved unconditionally. I wanted to experience what it is. I'll tell your daughter I think she's cool too. I wanted to experience like what this divine love is, and I'm like, I want to experience that with one person. And then I realized that I love everybody. The more I started loving myself, I just was like, but I love everybody, so how can I can't just be with one person. I might be single the rest of my life, I don't know. If I find someone that it resonates and we just sort of like flow, and it's just a flow of consciousness, that's cool with me. You know, it's like swimming, just swimming together. That's cool. But if it doesn't happen, also, I'm experiencing so much love within myself that I can relate and feel that love with other beings, because I'm not seeing one man as, I just see them all as different. I'm not seeing one man as better than another or whatever. You know, men like to fight and shit and be like, I need to be the one. And I'm like, but you're all amazing. And you might look at me, and then a man might look at like 3 other women, and there's different aspects of those women that that resonate with his frequency or his personality or whatever. So there's like no judgment when it comes to stuff like that. So this is all still being worked out. I'll figure it out eventually. That aspect, I'm just taking my time and working it out. But I realized that I had suppressed myself for years. And that was an inauthenticity. Probably why I don't speak about relationships too much within myself, is that I was trying to fit this mold and these parameters and compromising with other people so that I can feel loved. And that rebellious 16-year-old who didn't give a shit about how men felt, and who was just like, fuck it, bro, this is who I am. Either you fuck with me or you don't. Like, that person disappeared. Well, she's back. So it's really, so now I have to learn how to grow her up or raise her up, that aspect of myself that was suppressed for all these years. So now I'm like, okay, so this is a 16-year-old consciousness, a wise 16-year-old consciousness, where I was very rebellious and where I was just honest with people, like, listen, I like you, I like you, I like you, but not all on the same day, maybe. So I have to take that girl now, and I have to raise her up and make her wise, that aspect of myself. So that, I feel like that is a lot of that, and I feel like the reality is literally has amplified as a mirror. So the reality itself has amplified all this stuff as a perfect mirror of what is going on inside of you and what you need to work on and stuff. So it's like this crazy thing that I don't have a lot of words for it yet, but the best thing I can say is whatever you're going to be experiencing, it's going to be so reflected back to you like perfectly, like in an insane way. So for me, I realized I need to exercise more compassion with people. especially like if I'm talking to someone or I'm really into them or whatever. Like, I was like, okay, I have to figure out, okay, that little raw 16-year-old rebel that's like, fuck men. I mean, I literally used to tell my mom, like, I was like, I don't want to learn how to cook, even though I do like cooking. I know how to cook, but she used to try and teach me how to cook. One day you're gonna have a husband, you need to cook for your family. And oh, Lilith, tell her I said I love you and thank you for being so compassionate. So like, I used to be like, Mom, I'm not trying to fucking cook for no man. And I would like walk outside and like go play in the dirt or something. Like, I was like that. Like, I was such a tomboy. I used to be on my bike and shit and like getting lost in the woods and stuff. I used to do like work outside and shit. Like, I was really like a tomboy. Because that was that younger self that was rebellious and that wasn't trying to be under no man. Like, I wasn't trying to be under nobody. Like, I would expect more that we treat each other as equal and separate. Like, different, but both sovereign. So the hard part, right, is extending the same thing that we expect for ourselves. We have to extend that to others. And sometimes that's the hard part, because you might want everybody for yourself and be like, no, you're all for me, no sharing, fuck that. And while you can create a structure like that, it won't be fulfilling for you, and you'll just have nothing but yes men around you. So what you're going to want to do is like really try and extend the same sovereignty that you expect for yourself, allowing others to experience that sovereignty as well. And that's really the hard part, because then you got to go inside and really deal with those emotions. I mean, I had to really deal with some emotions when it came to that. So it's going to be deepening of that too. And the reality is like a perfect mirror right now. It's like crazy clear if you can look. Okay, so I wrote this poem the other day, and I figure I'll finish off with this poem, and then I'll come back probably in like a half an hour or so. Just to do some higher self readings for people who missed it the other day. I guess it's good that I'm doing it at like a different time so that you guys can, you know, come back on. And so there's no title on this yet. I read this last night at a bar, and it was crazy. Like I think the security guard or like one of the bouncers came out, and I was like, you want me to read you a poem? And he's like, yeah, go ahead. He's like, go ahead, sis. I was like, all right. So I read it, and he was like, yo, that was deep. That was deep. So I'm going to read this to you guys, and yeah. Hopeless romantic. Yeah, you and me both, Joe. Oh, and if anyone has any ideas for titles, please leave it in the comments. I haven't got a title for this yet. Can you help me find myself again? You see, I thought I was the hand holding the pen. Then I discovered the mind, but behind the mind was intent. So I intentionally intended innovation and creation. The more I exercised intent, the deeper I went. I found heart. So into the corridors of coronary contemplation, I concluded a further computation. I found a plasmic force forged, not of body, not of will, not of emotion, not of skill. An endless essence, exploding and imploding a force. In times of corona sacrifices on the altar of science, I mean the altar of my altar, a shady spot millions of miles away, I look into the sky and see stars during the day, riding a solar flare named Nexus. I rid myself of the hexes of humanity. Landing in Babylon with crystal tears, the mother is here, was here, is near. I searched for her with foresight, the author of my birthright. Who documented your birth time and the precise moment the stars aligned? Can you help me? Help me find myself. Evaluations of pastellations and scarlet sheets red with passion simmering to embers. Am I the ash, the carbon left behind? When the conquering of my mind and the ecstatic bliss of soft lips leave my body numb. Out of body, a flight of the soul. My coronation, crown chakra activation between sultry moans. Behold, God. Am I God? If I am God, generator, operator, destroyer, as a wise El once told, he spoke proudly and bold about that which we now whisper about. But if you feel deep and let that feeling shout, I think you will find truth beneath what you perceive as you. Is God, when nothing is left, is God unveiled? Not taste, not sound, not sight, nor scent, nor feel, do you still remain? Can you sense your beginning? Can you sense your end? I cannot. Therefore, as insane as it sounds, I am God, and I need not demand a crown. But if even I, the I that creates the individual, dissolves, all and nothing still means something. As I stand and as I disappear, God remains in you, my dear. Alright, kind of messed up like 2 bars there, but there you go, guys. You got a poem too. My phone's acting up, so I'm gonna go. I love you all. We'll talk soon.